I think I could be a philanthropist, a kick-ass philanthropist. I would have all this money and people would love me. Then they would come to me and beg.
These are days when many are discouraged. In the 93 years of my life, depressions have come and gone. Prosperity has always returned and will again. Now on this my birthday, I desire to reaffirm my belief in the fundamental principles upon which this country was founded: liberty, unselfish devotion to the common good, and belief in God.
I'm Edgar Villanueva, and today I am the face of America.
I'm Sherelle Johnson. Today I'm the face of America.
I'm Valeda Fullwood, and today I'm the face of America.
I'm Jess Danhauser, and today I'm the face of America.
I'm Barnabas Uba Shakur, and today I'm the face of America.
My name is Edgar Villanueva. I'm a Native American philanthropist. I'm an advocate for social justice philanthropy. In a variety of ways, I seek to engage, educate, motivate funders and those who are moving resources into communities to do that through a racial equity lens.
I define myself as an individual who is interested in making sure that the world is a better place. I'm big on philanthropy, basically assisting and helping other people so that their lives could be better through charity or charitable work.
Well, I think for starters, I care for other people because I grew up that way. I come from a caring family, a close-knit family in the South, and a community of people who were givers and doers. And so just growing up in that environment with that culture and that spirit influenced who I am today and led me on the path to work and write about philanthropy.
I'm the president of Graham Wyndham, which is a social services organization working with young people and their families here in New York City and Westchester. We serve kids who've had a tough start in life, and our job is to work with them and their families to give them all of the support and opportunity they need to succeed. We think our kids are often underestimated, but they can do really wonderful things in the world, and we're proud to serve them.
I am the owner of Foot Soldiers LLC in Brooklyn, New York. We provide a maintenance service for homeowners, property owners, property managers in central Brooklyn.
David Rockefeller, known as one of the most towering figures in city history, has died. A family spokesman said Rockefeller died this morning of congestive heart failure at his home in Westchester County. The banker and philanthropist was the last surviving grandson of the oil tycoon, John D. Rockefeller.
I'm a resident of Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm a writer, a public speaker, and an idea whisperer. I focus on Black philanthropy because working as a consultant and writer in philanthropy, I noted that historically and conventionally, many of the stories that were told and lifted up excluded the stories from Black philanthropists and Black givers. That oftentimes the stories were centered on wealth and on whiteness and often on males specifically. And as a Black woman, didn't feel my voice or my stories and the stories that I knew and my experiences with philanthropy were represented. And that set me out on a path to help lift up and tell those stories and celebrate giving in the Black community.
So our organization starts in the early part of after the Revolutionary War here in the United States. And Alexander Hamilton's wife was one of the 4 founders of the organization. It was a group of amazing women who at that point didn't even have the right to vote. And they decided to start this organization. they had been working with mothers who had children who had been widowed. The mothers had been widowed, and those mothers passed, and they were looking for a way to care for these children. And soon after they took those children in, they realized that there was abundant need for support to really take care of children who had been orphaned at that point in our history. They grew quickly because there was such a great need. And every day they would go and they would ask city officials, they would ask churches, they would ask anybody, local citizens and residents who could care for these children, who could help grow this orphanage. So it started as an orphanage for 6 children and grew over time. Currently we serve 5,000 children. They worked incredibly hard to take care of these kids. They met every one of their needs. And at that point, when they had very little money, actually Eliza Hamilton had debt that she owed when her husband was killed. And so they spent all of their time raising this money and taking care of the kids, and did such an extraordinary job. And they vowed, whether or not they had any money, they would never turn a child away. And they sort of bred in this organization that ethos that we serve the kids who need us most, and we are going to be here for them for the long haul.
A doula is an individual who assists during childbirth. So I am a doula, I've been a doula for several years, and I've also worked with other individuals who are doulas as well as midwives. So a doula assists with the education, the counseling, and also the assistance of the family, mom and dad, to help them with a better birth and also help them with any questions they may have during the time of their birth. So it's about counseling, assisting, and we're just an advocate to also assist them in remembering their rights during the time of labor and birth.
I'm an enrolled member of the Lumbee Tribe of North Carolina, which is located in southeastern North Carolina, mostly in a county called Robeson County. We're also known as the people of the dark water because of the swamplands and the Lumber River that flows through that part of the county. We are 60,000 members strong, making us the largest tribe east of the Mississippi River.
Yeah, when I was younger, I was a teenager with very little opportunities. My neighborhood was corrupt. It was crime. It was drugs. Very few fathers. And as I grew up and began to gain exposure to the world, I realized the bubble that I came in wasn't a reflective bubble of the entire of this planet. So I wanted to be able to help people within my bubble.
My giving circle, which is New Generation of African American Philanthropists, we came together, pooled our dollars, and began making grants to make a difference in Charlotte. And during that process, I was struck by the stories, not only stories I knew and had in my family and in my life, but of other stories. So I had the idea to write a book that would be a collection of those stories, first-person narratives about why and how people are inspired to give. And I collaborated with a photographer, Charles Thomas, and he captured imagery that reinforced the idea that philanthropy is deeper than your pockets. And that book became Giving Back, a tribute to generations of African American philanthropists. The book itself gives back. In fact, sales from the book go to my giving circle and helps advance our civic engagement and philanthropy. And after a few years with the book, Charles and I thought it would be a great idea to reimagine Giving Back, the book, as an exhibit where people could come and engage, and the exhibit could serve as a vehicle for conversation and civic engagement and discussion. So we were fortunate to partner with Johnson C. Smith University, a historically black university in Charlotte, and get major funding from the Institute of Museum and Library Services to create the Soul of Philanthropy. And the exhibit has been touring for the last 3 or 4 years to college campuses across the country, to cultural institutions and museums. And it's been really an exciting iteration of my work and writing around black philanthropy.
I think of a particular young man who I'm very close to, who went through an extraordinary amount in his early teenage years. and he struggled to get over that. And his story is actually not one that is a simple story, that people's lives don't change in an instant, and like the movies, do they just live happily ever after. His story is lots of ups and downs, where he would succeed and then there would be a setback in his family and he would struggle with that emotionally. But he has made progress day in and day out. He's a chef now. He has started his own business. He has created extraordinary happiness in his life and others. But the truth is, like anybody, he has his good days and he has his bad days. The point is that we stick with our kids. We coach our kids until they're 25 years old. We don't give up early, because we know that early young adulthood period is critical in someone's life's trajectory and their success. So we stick by our kids. We have thousands of kids who are doing extraordinary things, teaching, working in a variety of fields, social workers, folks who are doing construction and working in computer analytics, but their journeys are never simple. And what we have found is if we try to move too fast and we try to just have a silver bullet and move on, that we're going to miss an important part of that journey, and we're going to miss something that's we're going to pull support out from under them right when they need it most.
I think philanthropy, particularly conscious philanthropy, being aware of why and how you give, and not just giving because somebody asked, but having an interest or passion or something you'd like to see change in the world, and giving your time, talent, and treasure to help create change. I think it's more important now than ever, not just because of the political climate, but also because of socioeconomic dynamics and just the complexities and issues we face in the world, that I think all of our voices are needed, and all of us need to have skin in the game in terms of creating the communities we need and want, and the future that we can be excited and proud about.
How much influence do you think you had on others with wealth, with means to give, to be as generous as you?
Well, a lot of people come back to me on that, and basically I said, if you're extremely rich and you've got children, my theory was you give them enough so they can do anything, but not enough so they can do nothing.
Unfortunately, in the United States, in the medical system, a lot of times women and men, because men and women are the ones who make the babies, so the family does not have the support that they do need. A lot of times we do a lot of volunteer work.
I think helping others was just something that was instilled in me from my family, probably from my indigenous values. I also had a lot of influence early on from a faith community. But also I've learned later in life from my elders that moving money or helping to invest resources in community is actually my medicine. It's something that makes me feel complete and whole and restores balance in my own life.
Well, I had the fortune in creating Giving Back, the book, to interview over 200 Black donors about why and how they give. So I heard lots of inspiring stories, and choosing one is like choosing my favorite child, so that's sort of tough. But there is one woman's story in particular that stuck with me, and that was the story of Miss Elizabeth. And I spoke to her. She had passed at the time that I was researching, but I spoke to her niece, and she shared her aunt's story. And Miss Elizabeth had come from a humble background, and in her 20s, she was a hairdresser, and her husband died, and she found herself young, a widow, and nervous about her future. So she saw an ad for a job at a university. So she thought, well, this is an opportunity to increase my opportunities. So she went and applied, and the folks there recognized right off she didn't have the qualifications, to let her know that she didn't qualify for the job, but saw her spunk and potential and said, hey, instead of applying for a job, why don't you apply for school? We'll help you get admittance, and you can go to college. So she did. She became a teacher, and at key junctures in her life, people were there to support her and give her generous support that really changed the whole trajectory of her life. And she became a public school teacher and was active in her community and gave back, and loved to travel, and But when she died in her 80s, a woman from modest means who'd been a public school teacher was able to leave $250,000 to the local Urban League, several universities, the United Way in our community. And I was just struck by her story of generosity. And she had a motto about paying it back. You know, do something good for somebody else. Whenever somebody would do something for her at those key junctures, and she would ask, well, what can I do for you? How can I repay you? Thank you so much. They were like, help out the next person. And so she applied that throughout her life and even in her death. And her story shows that everybody has the potential to be a philanthropist, even people from modest means. You don't have to be a millionaire. And with enough thinking and planning and intentionality, you can have a really strong impact on your community.
Folks who donate to Graham Windham are my heroes because they allow the great work that we do. So the profile is not a simple one. We have folks who give every month $10 and want to make sure that they're part of our community and can help us take care of our kids. And we have folks who have extraordinary means and are giving millions of dollars. Every single dollar counts and makes sure that we can serve more and more kids. Right now, we'd like to be able to move our program that serves 400 kids in Graham Slam, that coaches young people until they're 25. We have about 1,000 kids we believe could benefit from it. So we're fundraising to expand that program. We're fundraising to make sure that this organization is around for many, many years to come. We have wonderful, wonderful supporters. And would invite anybody to join that, to come visit or to check out our website or to give me a call, to become part of this community, because we really are helping people change lives. And I try not to say that we are changing lives, because it is the individuals that we care about and that we serve who are changing their own lives, but we are giving them that opportunity and that step up to do that and to have the type of community around them that every child deserves and needs.
Decolonizing Wealth is a provocative analysis of the philanthropic and charitable sector, looking at what I call the colonial dynamics that are really prohibiting our sector and holding us back from investing in a way that is truly equitable. The accumulation of wealth in this country has resulted in a lot of trauma. Colonization has resulted in trauma that still shows up in our communities. I believe that wealth actually can be a tool to help facilitate the healing from that trauma if we use money as medicine.
My activities as a chef, a private chef, and as well as a chef who works in the community, I basically assist with cooking demonstrations. For instance, currently I am working with Bed-Stuy Campaign Against Hunger, which is an organization founded in the 80s by this young lady from the Caribbean. Basically what she does is she formulated the program so that we can assist individuals with healthy eating in the communities. Unfortunately, where the community is that I work in right now, which is say Bed-Stuy / Ocean Hill, what happened is that there's a lot of individuals with high blood pressures and diabetes. In addition, they're at a great level of poverty. So there's also, of course, free food given away, as well as with the demonstrations that I do, I also educate the participants on how to better eat their food, how to better prepare their food, and also prepare food as a family. Not necessarily foods that are, say, frozen, but we also do fresh fruits and vegetables from the farm so that individuals are able to be healthier and eat healthier and to basically live longer.
Native Americans in this country have been, for the most part, invisible. I think that part of that is due to this country's inclination to want to forget about or erase its history of genocide and colonization. It's really our nature to want to sweep that under the rug and not address that. And I think in doing so, we are actually holding ourselves back from not having that process of truth and reconciliation. In this country, I think, just a couple of years ago with Standing Rock was one of the first times that Native resilience and power was on the global stage, where folks in this country saw what Native Americans had to offer, and also saw the power, the spirituality, the culture really coming through in a very mainstream way. Since then, I think that we are becoming a lot more visible. We're having major success in movements and resistance in protecting our lands, our culture, our languages. We're seeing right now in this election season, more Native American women are running for office than ever before in our history. So it's actually a great time to be Indigenous in the United States.
So meeting different people on a daily basis as a doula and also as a community chef gives me a different perspective on life, because of the fact that I'm not just in an office sitting down being on the phone. Every day I'm interacting with different types of people from different walks of life, from different countries, and we're able to share ideas of what is healthy and what is unhealthy. So how it affects my life and also my clients is, with me, I'm able to share knowledge of what I've been learning throughout the years through my elders, individuals such as Joan Sherwood, Amadama, and a few others who have helped to teach me how to better broaden my horizon by dealing with different individuals. As far as in a doula perspective, being able to meet different people from different socioeconomic backgrounds and knowing and understanding that they all have the same need. Everybody wants to be respected during their time of labor. Everybody wants to be loved. Everybody wants to be cared for, and everybody just wants for someone to listen to what they're saying. Because unfortunately, in the medical world, it's whatever the doctor says, so the patients sometimes have no voice. So what we do as doulas, we help to give them voices, and we ask them their opinion. What do you think would be best for you? And we also try to help them to reach that goal.
We live in this time of extraordinary generosity by the winners of our age, but a time in which those winners use generosity to actually protect the system that continues to cause many of our biggest problems and to shut most Americans out.
I think that all of us from marginalized communities have to understand the power of our voice, and not just our single voice, but our collective voice. Standing Rock, I think, showed that for us, that when we come together across tribes, across boundaries, that we really can accomplish a lot, and that we have a very strong, powerful contingent. So I think that we have to first understand that, and then organize and come together, and then find ways to run for office, starting locally. We're seeing now that I think the world is looking toward Native Americans for our wisdom and our leadership, and to really understand how we can sustain this economy and this land in order to really get out of the mess that we're in right now.
I was raised in this community when it was a very deprived community, and now it's transitioned, where there are a lot of cultures, a lot of people, new stores, new businesses. It's just a new neighborhood now, and it still has its cultural roots, but it also has a new sense of togetherness.
I think culture was transmitted to me in a way that was very organic. It wasn't until I was older that I began to look back and reflect on my life and have conversations with my family that I began to realize that there were certain values instilled in me that were because we were Native American. I didn't know growing up if they were just values that everyone shared, or if it was because we were from the South or because my family was religious. I had to actually make the time to self-reflect and go on a personal journey to explore that and to really grow to appreciate and value that wisdom that was passed down to me.
As a woman or female entrepreneur, I would say my biggest obstacle would be being in an environment where most of the doctors that we deal with, they're mostly male, so sometimes it's like they feel as if women don't know much, or women don't know anything, or most women are my assistants, or whatever the case may be. But through my background and my upbringing and how my father raised me, I am a very strong person, so I keep pushing. I'm not going to stop until we break down these barriers to minimize the the infant mortality rate in the United States, which is extremely high.
You can't sit down and wait for anyone to provide anything for you. You have to look at what's out there, look at your skills, look at what you enjoy doing, and do it. I mean, that's it. Just, you know, the monsoon starts with one raindrop.
I think that I have a role to play definitely in the progressive movement to advocate for my community. I don't think I'll run for public office, but I really enjoy supporting others who are currently engaged in doing so. I'm involved in a number of networks that are working to build political power, to get our community registered to vote, and to make sure our voice is being counted. And I look forward to continue to support those efforts.
I've been asked by multiple people to step into politics. I don't think it's necessary. You know, Steve Jobs didn't need to step into politics. You know, I'm a businessman. What I do is business. And you know, Bloomberg is a businessman, and he became the mayor. But he became the mayor when he's much older. So I can't tell what I'm going to do when I'm 60. But right now, in my 30s. I don't see a political future, but who knows?
Well, the advice that I would give to a teenage woman in order to overcome adversity is never, ever, ever give up. It's gonna be rough, it's gonna be tough. People are gonna practically spit in your face, but just keep pushing and never give up. Oprah Winfrey never gave up, and a lot of different individuals who have made it never gave up. And I'm not gonna give up until I make a difference in this world, because all it takes is one person to make a difference in one person's life, and then that other person that you teach can actually educate somebody else. So again, never give up, never give in, and always stay positive.